Tonight on Y News, the Department of Health appeals to parents to have kids vaccinated against polio amid the re-emergence of polio in the country. The Bureau of Animal Industry confirms presence of African swine fever in 2 barangays in Quezon City. The Department of Justice asks the Philippine National Police to suspend the re-arrest of GCTA-freed heinous crime convicts. And the Philippine National Police confirms the death of a PMA cadet is due to hazing. Good evening. After 19 years of being polio-free, the Department of Health confirms the re-emergence of polio in the country. One possible polio case in Laguna is also being monitored. The government continues its plea to parents to have their children vaccinated. Arlene Delgado explains why.
Rosita carries her 1-year-old child to Barangay Rojas Health Center in Quezon City for its follow-up checkup. According to her, she is really hands-on when it comes to her children's health. Attest to this is her youngest medical passbook, which shows the list of vaccines she completed. Among these are the 3 doses of polio vaccine. Rosita admits she got worried when the controversy hounding the Dengvax vaccine broke out, but she still believes this is also for her child's safety.
Mahalaga po namin bigyan po siya ng ganong para hindi po siya makagmagaya po ng iba na nagkaroon na po ng polio.
Lower vaccine confidence is one of the top factors the Department of Health is looking into on the re-emergence of polio in the country. According to DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III, this was brought by the so-called Dengvax scare. DOH reports that in January to December 2018, only 72% of the target population in NCR received the oral polio vaccine. That is why the health department continues to appeal to the public to have their kids vaccinated for free.
Very safe, wala po tayong dapat ikabahala sapagkat ang polio vaccine ay matagal na po ginagamit, ay kaya libre po, huwag po kayo magbabayad. Pagka may nagiging sa inyo, sumbong nyo sa DOH.
The secretary adds, poor environment and sanitary hygiene is a factor in the resurgence of the virus.
I appeal to all the local government units. Let's push for zero open defecation. Hindi pwede kung saan ka lang magbabawas dahil ito ay magdudulot ng sakit at kawawa naman yung mga bata.
The DOH confirmed yesterday a new case of polio contracted by a 3-year-old in Lanao del Sur. A second case, a 5-year-old boy from Laguna, was also confirmed by the agency. An area in Tondo, Manila is also being looked into where the said environment sample posts positive of the polio virus. The agency targets to vaccinate 5.5 million children nationwide to start in Manila, Davao City, and Lanao del Sur. Because of this, Bagong Henerasyon Party List Representative Bernadette Herrera D will propose to Congress to augment the DOH budget.
And 800 million yung kailangan to cover the whole country, the 5.5 million children. So kung ano yung kakulangan doon, we really have to find budget for it.
Malacanang admits it is alarmed over the cases of polio in the country. Cabinet Secretary Carlin Nograles said this will be one of the topics to be discussed on the next cabinet meeting with President Rodrigo Duterte.
We want to reverse this trend. Nakakabahala na after 19 years, nagkaroon tayo ng findings of the presence of polio.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization and the United Nations Children's Fund expressed concern over the re-emergence of poliovirus in the Philippines. The WHO and UNICEF both vowed to work closely with the DOH to strengthen surveillance and swiftly respond to the outbreak. Arlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Almost 2 decades passed since the World Health Organization, or WHO, declared the Philippines polio-free in year 2000. A new polio case is recorded in the country. Find out what polio is, how it is acquired, and what the cure is for it. My Bermudez reports.
As polio returns in the Philippines, awareness about the disease is invaluable. Questions like how to protect children from the poliovirus-caused illness and how can one avoid it must be answered. Poliovirus enters the body through the intake of contaminated food and water. An infected human can transfer the virus through droplets when sneezing or coughing. The virus can also be transferred through fecal transmission. You can know if someone is polio positive through poliovirus recovery or getting a stool sample and throat swab and checking the cerebrospinal fluid. Polio has no cure, but it can be evaded through vaccination. In the Philippines, the oral poliovirus vaccines or OPV are available for administration on infants and children less than 5 years old. Normally, a person experiences no symptoms, but eventually, polio may cause paralysis. In case of paralysis, it can be confirmed to be caused by poliovirus if it comes with high fever, muscle pain, spasms, weakness, and vomiting. The last known case of wild poliovirus recorded in the Philippines was in 1993, according to the WHO. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue.
It's confirmed there is a presence of African swine fever in 2 barangays in Quezon City. Mayor Joy Belmonte met with hog raisers this morning to discuss the culling procedures on their hogs. Ray Pelayo details why.
8 out of 45 blood samples have tested positive for the African swine fever or ASF virus. The samples had previously been sent by the Quezon City government to the Bureau of Animal Industry or BAI. The blood samples were extracted from hogs in barangays Payatas and Bagong Silangan. Based on the protocol, all hogs within a 1 kilometer radius from ground zero must be culled.
Kasi kung tinapon ninyo sa creek, idedemanda ko kayo. At kung itakas ninyo, idedemanda ko rin kayo.
Mayor Belmonte said 10 million pesos have been allotted as assistance for those who will surrender their hogs. Raisers will receive 3,000 pesos per hog. Based on estimates, there are some 2,000 hogs in Payatas and around 900 in Bagong Silangan. They have no inventory of the hogs on hand, the mayor said, because it is prohibited to raise them in the city. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The doors of hog scale traders in Barangay Pretil, GUiguinto, Bulacan remain closed due to the prevailing African swine fever outbreak. The traders and hog transport operators say even they are affected by the outbreak of the deadly hog disease. Mirasol Abogodil reports why.
For over a month now, operations of hog transport in Pretil are at a standstill. This as the Provincial Veterinary Office continues to observe 4 sentinel pigs put in hog scale trading posts. According to the traders, the sentinel pigs are alive.
Tunayan po na healthy ang baboy dito sa amin na wala pong sakit na swine flu. Sana po pagbigyan nyo na po kami na makapaghanap buhay. May 1 buwan na po kaming hindi kumikita.
The traders explained there is no existing piggery in their barangay. They say pigs are left with them, scaled and temporarily kept in cages before being brought to a slaughterhouse.
Ang baboy namin ang gagaling sa Batangas. Ngayon dadali namin dito sa Bulacan para ibebenta namin sa mga maghahangop. Kaya kami malaki ang epekto namin dahil lugi talaga.
A hog scale trader earns 30 pesos on each pig weighed and 20 pesos for every hog left in their cages before slaughter. The GUiguinto Municipal Veterinary Office says observing the sentinel pigs is a step towards knowing if there is a threat of the ASF virus in areas suspected of contamination after they got disinfected.
In-observe nila kung tatamaan yon, meron pa. Pero hanggang sa ngayon, buhay pa naman yung mga piglets, yung mga biik na inilagay doon. So may possibility, wala na doon sa area.
The sentinel pigs will be observed for 3 months. Afterwards, the Provincial Veterinary Office will discuss other protocols to be set before declaring the area ASF-free, something the traders are unsure of. Mirasol Abogadil, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Philippine Association of Meat Processors, Inc. has called on local governments not to ban their products, especially the holiday favorite ham. The group fears possible impact of the ban on the country's processed meat industry and to the livelihood of about 150,000 employees. They assure the public and local authorities that their products are not contaminated with African swine fever or ASF, as they make sure to comply with government safety procedures.
Ulila kami because ang karne ay alagang-alaga at ang processed meats ay medyo napabayaan ng konti. And yet we are a 300 billion industry. Tinitiyak po namin na walang ASF virus ang produkto natin.
The group added that ASF virus do not thrive in extreme hot temperature and there is no reported transmission or health risk to humans. The government has already imposed a ban on processed meat in the provinces of Cebu and Bohol. They also requested the assistance of personnel from the Food and Drug Authority for them to monitor and conduct safety checks on their processed meat products. Senators are alarmed with what they learned after former PNP CIDG Chief Benjamin Magalong revealed the names of policemen involved in drug recycling. One of them said there must be thorough investigation on this information before it is publicized. Grace Casin tells us why.
Senators now have the names of police officers allegedly involved in the recycling of illegal drugs. Baguio City Mayor and former Chief of the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, Benjamin Magalong, named them in an executive session.
Nung iniimbestigahan ko yan, may mga officials na nakita namin one way or the other, they have some involvement sa mga drug trade. Basta nasa active pa rin sila.
Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon says he knows the police officials, but when asked on what is the highest rank of the officials, this was his response.
Anong pinakamataas na rank?
Ako nagulat. Nagtingin na nga kami tatlo. Grabe naman to.
Even Senate President Vicente Soto III confirms it.
May mga high-level officials noon na involved, pero yung iba wala na ngayon. Pero merong pang nasa eserbisyo.
Senator Gordon wants the president to be informed of this vital information.
Sabi ko nga kay Bongo, huwag kang umalis sabi mo kay Presidente Lajan.
Senator Amy Marcos, on the other hand, said the information the senators have should not be publicized until there is a thorough investigation on it.
These are very powerful people. They can escape, they can evade charges, they can even hit back.
Magalong said until now he still receives reports about the drug transactions of some corrupt police personnel.
Pino-forward ko lang sa mga SAP yung information ko Nagpa-positive naman.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO Director Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar believes the government's war against drugs will be successful if law enforcement agencies have better coordination. He also appeals to the public to help them identify rogue cops. Joanano explains why.
After the news on the continuous recycling of illegal drugs being done by an active policeman, mostly assigned in the Manila Police District, broke out and their alleged connections to the so-called drug queen in Manila. National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO Director Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar personally went to the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency office to talk to Director General Aaron Aquino.
Yung mga nasa listahan ng mga dating ninja cops na pinakita niya sa akin, ito yung mga pulis na dinata namin na pinagtatapon na namin sa malayo. Na yung iba may kaso na, iba nag-awol na.
Eleazar also confirmed that PIDEA has two lists. One is an old list and another is a new list that consists of 6 to 7 policemen. Eleazar added he will look into and investigate the policemen said to be involved in the recycling of illegal drugs.
Yung iba kasi hindi talaga mga pangalan mga buong pangalan. Kaya chine-check natin siya. Pero may mga nakita ko doon na talagang mga dismiss sa kaawol na. Pero just the same, meron kaming inaalam and right now chine-check natin yun.
Eleazar added they are talking to the same drug queen and they have operated against her many times. He believes that the government's anti-drug war will succeed if the PNP and PIDEA have better coordination.
One thing is sure, mas maganda kung meron kaming coordination at isa naman ang aming intensyon. Malinis ang aming hanay, PNP, PIDEA, NBI at lahat yan ng mga ninja cops or tinatawag nating mga nag-recycle na mga ano.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I'm Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. The Department of Justice speeds up finalizing the list of GCTA-granted convicts following its request to put on hold the re-arrest of heinous crime convicts. The Philippine National Police confirms the death of a PMA cadet is due to hazing. San Miguel Corporation proposes an elevated expressway can solve EDSA traffic woes. Oil companies see possible big-time oil price hike next week. And a noisy gecko stalls President Duterte's speech. Good evening. Cabinet Secretary Nograles says the pursuit operations against GCTA disqualified heinous crime convicts might resume next week. Rosalie Cos reports why.
The warrantless arrest and the pursuit operations against fugitives or convicts released through GCTA but are disqualified have been put on hold. This as the GCTA list is being finalized through the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Corrections, says Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. This is also to compare the number of those who have surrendered against those who have not.
Maybe they're just going over the list again and again, making sure na wala silang nakaligtaan, making sure na wala namang ipapasok sa final list na hindi naman dapat. And you have to remember na marami na up to now, marami na ang nagsusurrender.
The official also clarifies once the list is finalized, the Philippine National Police can resume their warrantless arrest of fugitives. This is also to determine how much bounty the government must prepare for heinous crime convicts who won't voluntarily surrender.
In effect, hindi pa ma-implement practically muna ng PNP yung warrantless arrest hanggang makuha nila from DOJ yung final list. Although legally speaking, pwede namang i-effect yung warrantless arrest, but siguro the Philippine National Police just want to have yung tinatawag na nating pinpoint accuracy kung sino talagang hanapin nila.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Persons deprived of liberty released through good conduct time allowance continue to turn themselves into the Bureau of Corrections. Nel Maribuhok reports.
A tent in front of the Bucor building serves as an assistance center for freed convicts who voluntarily surrender themselves to authorities. After they are processed here, a coaster awaits them for their transfer to a building outside the New Bilibid prison compound. The NBP building serves as their temporary holding area. Their families can still freely visit them, but the NBP personnel implements tight security in the area. Based on the freshest data from the DOJ, out of the 1,914 on Bucor's list, 1,717 of those who have surrendered are now in Bucor's custody. Bucor, however, have not released any details on the surrenderers. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Muntinlupa City.
The Department of Justice speeds up finalizing its list of convicts freed through the Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA law. Rosalie Cos is back to explain why.
The Department of Justice or DOJ reports that as of 5 a.m. today, 2,009 convicts released through GCTA have surrendered to authorities. That is 95 more than the 1,914 on the Bureau of Corrections initial list. 1,773 of them are now under Bucor's custody, while 236 are with the Philippine National Police. DOJ spokesperson Undersecretary Mark Perete says Bucor's list of 1,914 convicts includes 41 inmates who had been given pardon, executive clemency, or are on parole. This is also why the DOJ has asked the Department of the Interior and Local Government to put on hold their warrantless arrest against those who are already considered fugitives. This after President Rodrigo Duterte's deadline lapsed at 11:59 last night.
We are, in the meantime, expediting the process of cleaning up that list to make sure that only those who should be included will remain in the list to be used now by the Philippine National Police and the AFP in their rearrest.
Meanwhile, ex-inmates not included on the GCTA list but have surrendered to Bucor refused to leave Bucor's premises for fear to be rearrested.
We would have to prepare the necessary documentation which would somehow legally protect those who have turned themselves in, that once they are already outside, they will not be subjected to a rearrest.
The DOJ also clarifies Rolito Go should not be included on the GCTA list. It has been reported that the police are running after Go after the deadline to surrender lapsed yesterday.
It would seem that he should not be included in that list because his release is not by virtue of the GCTA misapplication, the misapplication of the provisions of the expanded GCTA law, but by virtue of a court order.
Go is a construction magnate convicted for shooting a De La Salle University student during a road rage incident in 1991 and was released in 2016. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In other news, the Philippine National Police confirms today that the Philippine Military Academy cadet has died from hazing. 3 other PMA cadets who may be involved in the victim's death are now under restrictive PMA custody. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Philippine Military Academy assured to conduct deeper investigation into the death of Cadet 4th Class Darwin D. Dormitorio. This after the PNP confirmed Friday that hazing is the cause of death of the 20-year-old victim from Cagayan de Oro City. PMA Superintendent Ronnie Evangelista says 3 cadets considered as persons of interest in the case are now under PMA custody.
The 2 cadets are actually in the stockades and the other one is in the holding center. All are still inside PMA. Dalawang 3rd class or 2nd year and isang 1st class or 4th year.
The director, we will already conduct the investigation and we have 3 persons of interest and most probably they will be charged under the hazing law and possibly more upon the conclusion of our investigation there will be possibly more other cases and other cadets who will come out during the investigation.
Darwin was a graduate of Xavier University Senior High School in Cagayan de Oro City. In a Twitter post, Xavier University says the entire school community mourns their alumnus' death. Malacanang, for its part, ensures that those behind the hazing incident will be held accountable.
Very clear po sa batas ang magiging parusa. At tayo naman sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Duterte, kung sino yung dapat managot, kailangan managot. So kahit sino pa man yan, at we do not condone itong mga illegal na gawain, yung mga unlawful activities, at ang hazing is one of those things na this administration does not condone.
Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue.
Heads up, oil companies are expected to implement a big-time oil price hike next week. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has released the result of its investigation on the recent bombings on 2 of its oil facilities. Monhok Son details why.
There will be a more than 2 peso increase in the price of oil next week. This is the 2nd week oil companies will implement a price increase. According to industry players, there is an estimated more than 2 peso per liter increase in the price of gasoline and a more than 1 peso increase per liter of diesel. The Department of Energy says the big-time price hike is due to the recent attacks on 2 oil facilities in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia clarifies it will resume normal operation in all its oil facilities by the end of September. The DOE assures the Philippines has enough oil supply to last for 30 more days or 1 month. It is also prepared to recommend to suspend the excise tax on oil if oil prices continue to increase. Saudi Arabia has released the result of their investigation on the bombing incident. 18 unmanned aerial vehicles or drones from Iran were used to attack the oil facility. Saudi Arabia is preparing to retaliate once it determines who launched the attacks. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
Another proposal will land on the Transportation Department's table in a bid to solve the perennial traffic congestion in EDSA. Joan Nano tells us why.
San Miguel Corporation President and Chief Operating Officer Ramon Ang says they will submit a proposal to the Department of Transportation to ease traffic woes in EDSA. Their proposal, a construction of a 5x5 lane elevated expressway in EDSA.
5x5 lane sa taas, bigyan mo ng 2 lane, bus rapid transit. Each bus rapid transit, 300 passenger. It can carry 1.5 million passenger a day. So, pag-traffic, di ba?
Kung ano ho yung gagawin na elevated, meron na hong prototype yan, but in due time, we will make the announcements.
It will cover the stretch of Macapagal Avenue in Pasay City to Balintawak or Samson Road in Quezon City. Another bus management dispatch scheme will be implemented in EDSA in the next 6 months. According to House Committee on Transportation Chairman Edgar Sarmiento, they are studying the scheme together with the DOTR and the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority. Private car owners will be encouraged to use public transport, he says.
Ang gagawin natin, isa-isa lang, it's like a train. Magsusunod lang po yan. Centralized, synchronized, predictable. Bibigyan natin siya ng dedicated lane.
Passengers will just have to wait and see if the new schemes would work. Joanaro, UNTV News and Rescue, Caloocan City.
The House block questions speedy passage of proposed 2020 national budget. The group says is not enough for the meticulously check the budget for next. Vincent Arboleda tells us why.
The lower house of Congress intends to pass today the proposed 2020 national budget according to House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. But according to Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate, the entire process should be followed to carefully check the bill before passing it and bringing it to Senate, the 2020 proposed national budget.
Pero sa mangyayari ngayon, mukhang pagbubutuhan ng third reading na hindi makikita ng mga miyembro ng Kamara ang kopya ng GAB. Talagang walang GAB na mahawakan. GAB 2, no? Tawag natin dyan. So, paano magiging transparent dyan? No?
Included in the General Appropriations Bill are all the proposed budgets of the agencies of government for next year. According to Zarate, this is alarming if it's voted on at the plenary while lawmakers won't be able to see what's in it.
It only opens the floodgate, no? Sa mga amendments, in the guise of amendments, na magiging insertion doon sa budget na hindi na natin napag-uusapan, hindi na ilahad dito sa plenaryo.
According to the rules of the lower house, there should be a minimum of 3 days between the bills passing on the second and third reading. This is to give enough time for the lawmakers to read the provisions in the bill. The 3-day notice rule can be disregarded in case the President certifies the bill as urgent. The President certified the proposed 2020 national budget urgent on Wednesday, September 18. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
President Rodrigo Duterte just keeps getting bugged during his public speeches, with a noisy gecko the latest wildlife intruder during a speech by the leader on Thursday evening as Duterte launched into another tirade at human rights groups critical of his bloody war on drugs. The reptile's persistence caused laughter in the crowd of mostly soldiers at an arms decommissioning ceremony, causing Duterte to stop mid-sentence, turn to his left, and pause for a while to see what the off-camera commotion was.
Not during my time. Huwag mong gawin. Talagang tutudasin kita. Human rights, hindi kayo makatulong. Maya na lang. Saan ninyo ako kulungin, okay lang. Basta may... Lente nga taga Bacolod neng Duladala ka ng toko dito? Dahil lungga man eh. Ara mo tong pet mo na toko, dadala mo. Linti ng husband ka.
Previously, a big cockroach crawled up Duterte's shoulder and down his shirt during a speech in May when he was lambasting an opposition party ahead of a national election. He joked the cockroach was its supporter.
And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Tropical storm Nympha intensified into a severe tropical storm as it remains almost stationary over east-northeast of Basco, Batanes, State Weather Bureau Pag-asa said. Pag-asa said weather disturbance was last seen at 630 kilometers east-northeast of Basco, Batanes and is packing sustained winds of up to 95 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 115 kilometers per hour. Nympha is expected to leave the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR on Saturday morning, Pag-asa said. Meanwhile, Pag-asa clarified alleged haze bulletin circulating over social media. In its official social media page, DOST Pag-asa stressed it has not issued any haze bulletin. Pag-asa said the alleged haze bulletin was posted on DOST Pag-asa Visayas Facebook page, which the agency did not claim as among its official accounts. Meanwhile, Malaysia carried out cloud seeding as smog-belching forest fires in Indonesia send toxic haze across Southeast Asia. Kath Dumaraos reports.
The Malaysian government said it would carry out cloud seeding whenever possible to clear the smoke from forest fires that has engulfed the country in the past few weeks. Malaysia closed more than 1,500 schools around the country as fires on Indonesia, Sumatra, and Borneo Islands continue to burn. Authorities hope that cloud seeding, releasing chemicals such as sodium chloride and magnesium oxide into the air from aircraft, can encourage water droplets to form and rain to fall to clear the smoky air.
What we can guarantee is that the government is ready to do cloud seeding whenever it is possible. Whenever the cloud situation allows, we will do cloud seeding. So to bring temporary relief to people who are suffering under this haze situation.
As what YB has mentioned earlier on, and the effort is to make sure that people be relieved from the suffering of these issues.
Indonesia's neighbors have regularly complained about smog caused by its forest blazes that are often started by farmers trying to clear land for palm oil and pulp plantations. However, Jakarta has denied the accusation, saying forest fires had also started in other countries across the region. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And for the other news abroad, tens of thousands of students in Australia and South Pacific Island nations staged protests on Friday calling for urgent action on climate change ahead of the United Nations Climate Change Summit. Nina Armilio reports why.
School children, teachers, and parents gathered in Sydney holding placards that read, "Time is running out. Human change, not climate change. There is no planet B. And if not now, when?" Thousands also gathered in other cities around the country, such as Melbourne and Hobart, as part of a global event aimed at raising awareness among governments and companies of the need to curb climate change. On the streets of the Australian capital, demonstrators called for immediate action while taking a swipe at Prime Minister Scott Morrison for his position in favor of the coal industry. Morrison, who is in the United States to meet President Donald Trump, will not attend the UN summit in New York on Monday, a gesture the Greens party described as cowardice and contempt, given that Australia is one of the world's biggest greenhouse gas emitters.
We haven't seen any governmental action being taken since the last strike, and that means that we're going to keep fighting for the sustainability that we deserve and that we need, and the economic stability that we also want for our world, the idea that renewable energy can be the alternative, that is the only option.
Protests were also held in South Pacific island nations, which are among the most vulnerable to rising sea levels. Students in Kiribati, with their fists held high, chanted, "We are not sinking, we are fighting," according to images posted on Twitter by environmental nonprofit 350. Swedish teen activist Greta Thunberg, who began the school strike for climate change, sent messages from New York before the start of the demonstrations. The Youth Climate Summit will be held on Saturday, ahead of the UN Climate Change Summit, where only countries that have taken concrete steps to improve the environment will take the floor. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
Meanwhile, Democrat and Republican congressmen introduced new legislations against e-cigarettes after U.S. health officials announced a rise in the number of deaths and confirmed and probable severe lung-related illnesses related to vaping. The proposal includes a permanent ban on flavored cigarettes and implementing taxes on vaping. Miguel Rey de Leon reports.
New York politicians announced a new bipartisan initiative to fight vaping and e-cigarettes. New York Congressmen Tom Suozzi and Peter King said they want to ban flavored cigarettes permanently in legislation and raise the federal tax not only on cigarettes from $1 to $3, but also put us to the same tax on vaping products, as well for an equivalent $3 tax.
We see in the United States of America that those states that have raised their taxes on cigarettes have seen a lower incidence of people smoking and a lower incidence of cancer.
Because this is not a political issue, it's not a partisan issue, it's not an economic issue. This is first and foremost, it's a public health epidemic issue. We have to stop this epidemic of youth vaping.
The announcement came just hours after U.S. health officials had said there are now 530 confirmed and probable cases and 7 deaths from severe lung-related illnesses tied to vaping, and there are no signs that the trend is easing. That's up from 380 cases reported a week ago. 3/4 of the cases are male, and 2/3 are between the ages of 18 and 34.
And the recent surge in the vaping-related illnesses shows that we are desperate for more federal regulation of these dangerous products. Congress simply cannot afford to sit back and watch as these companies keep operating as if nobody is paying attention.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is now investigating more than 150 products and substances and said it has activated its criminal investigations arm to explore the supply chain of vaping products and identify the cause of the illnesses. Miguel Rey de Leon, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
The island state of Kiribati in the South Pacific has become the latest country to break off diplomatic relations with Taiwan in favor of China leaving Taipei with only 15 allies, the Taiwanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced today. The announcement came 2 days after the Solomon Islands broke ties with Taiwan and sided with China. Beijing's new diplomatic coup against Taipei comes days ahead of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China on October 1st, which resulted in the leaders of the then Republic of China taking refuge in Taiwan after losing the Civil War. It also comes ahead of the presidential elections on the island scheduled for January 2020, in which President Tsai Ing-wen of the pro-independence camp, and under whose tenure relations with Beijing have soured, will be seeking re-election. Kiribati had previously recognized the government of the People's Republic but established relations with Taiwan in 2003. In other news, North America has lost more than a quarter of its entire bird population, or around 3 billion birds. That's according to a new estimate published in the journal Science by researchers. Nomer Peñaranda will tell us why.
From grasslands to seashores to forests and backyards, birds are disappearing at an alarming rate in the United States and Canada, with a 29% population drop since 1970 and a net loss of about 2.9 billion birds, scientists said on Thursday. People are to blame, the researchers said, citing factors including widespread habitat loss and degradation, broad use of agricultural chemicals that eradicate insects, vital to the diet of many birds and even outdoor hunting by pet cats.
We are changing the face of the earth in ways that, animals that have evolved in these habitats can't respond.
Researchers tracked populations of 529 species using decades of bird counts taken on the ground, as well as weather radar data that revealed similar decline in the volume of migratory birds. Grasslands birds were particularly hard hit, with a 53% reduction in population amid agricultural intensification. Shore birds reliant on sensitive coastal habitats sustained a 37% drop. In addition, many shore birds breed in Arctic regions, rapidly changing due to climate change. The researchers documented a steep decline for migratory birds. They noted broad declines among birds that migrate to the tropics, where there have been devastating rates of habitat loss and degradation. While climate change was not the major driver of the population plunge, it is likely to exacerbate the existing threats to the bird populations in the future.
Good news is that nature is resilient once given a chance. So if we as humans act on this, if we start to really value nature, value birds, put policies into place that are going to protect these animals that we share in our common home, that these birds will respond. They'll respond rapidly. In 5 or 10 years, we could easily see some of these species starting to increase.
Nomer Peñaranda, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Expect another action-packed triple header on Sunday, September 22 at the Pasig City Sports Center on the third game day of the UNTV Cup Season 8. All 6 teams are ready with some of their new players to contribute to their campaign towards the win. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
PhilHealth Plus will maximize their 5 new players in their campaign to the championship this season in the League of Public Servants. Coach Delio Aceran says their preparation includes taking part in other leagues during the off-season.
Ang paghahandang ginawa natin, we participated dun sa Government Corporations Athletic Association or GCAA na kung saan nag-champion po ang ating sa Open, ang ating PhilHealth for 5 years na, and nanalo po kami sa seniors first time.
PhilHealth will face defending champ AFP Cavaliers in the second game at 3:30 p.m.
Expect nyo po ng PhilHealth lalaban kahit maliliit kami, and hopefully we'll utilize our speed para exciting games.
At may tanongan natin kay Marias. Tapos na ito si Jeffrey Sanchez.
In the main game, 3-time runner-up Malacanang PSC Camoo will play 2-time title holder Judiciary Magis at 5 p.m. Coach Rapi Gonzalez says although they are seasoned in the league, they will not be complacent after seeing what other teams have got. But with 2 new members, Jeffrey Punsalan standing at 5'7" and 6'1" Joseph Roque, Camoo is confident they can play sticker defense under.
Maganda naman yung pagkapasok nila dahil yung una, si Punsalan naglalaro ng 1 and 2, yung Roque ganun din 1, 2, 3 nilalaro.
On the other hand, Coach Joey Yabut's side also has 2 new players who they expect will contribute a lot to their campaign.
Expect nyo ngayon na takbuhan kami ngayon, tsaka siguro gaganda na yung depensa namin dahil may 2 nga kaming bago. Mukhang defensive player din, di lang scorer eh.
In the first game at 2 p.m., rookie team Agriculture Food Masters will battle against the Ombudsman Grapbusters. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
It's easy to get amazed with kids who can hit high notes or display extraordinary skills. But what if they are physically challenged? Let's get to know 2 of such kids from the Philippines and Russia as Mon Hokson reports.
We slowly chain our hearts and then we jumped, never asking why. We kissed and fell under your spell, no one could deny.
Hitting the right note, good timbre, and excellent enunciation of words. She is Joyce Jimenez, a grade 5 student from Davao Oriental. Did you notice anything? Yes, Joyce is blind. But what's amazing is she sings while touch reading Braille. Braille is a system used by blind people to read by touching embossed dots in a book or paper.
I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard in love. All I wanted was to break your walls. All you ever did was wrecking.
Aside from her name, place of residence and school, there is no other information about Joyce on social media. That is why many are disappointed because she is never recognized nor discovered. In another country, a skater boy without legs is trending. He is Maxim Abramov, a 10-year-old lad from Russia. Maxim lost both of his legs when his bed caught fire when he was just 18 months old. Because of the incident, the Russian government charged his parent with neglect and lost parental rights. Despite his ill fate, this has not been a hindrance for Maxim to do what he loves, skateboarding. Maxim started to be famous when Tony Hawk posted on Instagram a video of him skateboarding. What these two kids can do is proof that disability is not a deterrent to do what we love doing. Whether you are physically disabled, don't give up, but continue to reach for your dream.
I came in like a wrecking ball.
Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
All I wanted was to break your walls. All you ever did was.
Not everyone is given a second chance at love. But for a couple who got separated and listened to Wish 107's 5 Harana segment, a new chance for love blossomed. Mirasol Abogadil will tell us why.
They say love is lovelier the second time around. This may seem true for lovebirds Joanna and Rostum, who found each other again through Wish 107.5's new radio program segment, Harana on Moonlight Wishes by DJ Adam. Theirs was a love built to last a lifetime, but was abruptly interrupted when they decided to part ways to pursue their studies. But as they say it, what's meant to be will always find a way. According to Brazilian lyricist and novelist Paulo Coelho, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And then fate brought her on the airwaves. She mustered enough courage to call Wish FM, hoping to have a second chance with Rostum.
Since hindi naman na tayo nag-aaral, alam na natin yung priorities natin. Gusto ko lang itanong, will there be a second chance?
Oo naman. Alam mo ba, yung tagal ko lang inaantay yan. Ang tagal ko na din gumagawa ng paraan para ma-attach ulit sa'yo.
DJ Adam just can't contain his happiness that he became an instrument for Joanna and Rostum to have a sweet second chance.
Sa love talaga, hindi mo naman kailangan maging eloquent eh. Basta you're true to yourself and you have a genuine heart that is very loving, talagang ma-reflect mo yung, true aura ng isang loving person.
Joanna and Rostum know that it won't be an easy road towards a lasting relationship. But for now, what's important is that they have each other. And no matter what, they will reach their dreams together.
Sabay nating abutin yung mga pangarap natin. Saka sana mas tumatag tayo ngayon at gagawin ko lahat para sa'yo. Hindi kita sasaktan nor iiwan. Salamat and I love you. I love you so much.
I love you too.
And those are the reasons behind the news this September 20, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Happy weekend. Good evening.
Very safe. Wala po kayong dapat ikabahala sapagkat ang polio vaccine ay matagal na po ginagamit ay kaya libre po. Huwag po kayong magbabayad. Pag kami naliyo sa inyo, sumbong nyo sa DOH.
Kasi kung tinapon ninyo sa creek, idedemanda ko kayo. At kung itakas ninyo, idedemanda ko rin kayo.
Ako nagulat. Nagtingin na nga kami tatlo. Sabi ko, grabe naman to.
We are, in the meantime, expediting the process of cleaning up that list to make sure that only those who should be included will remain in the list to be used now by the Philippine National Police and the AFP in their rearrest.
So kahit sino pa man yan, at we do not condone itong mga illegal na gawain.